to our weekly Beam privacy space. Well, we have a lot of interesting things today. Let me see. We have a lot of R&D updates. We have community questions, and we have also some news to discuss. So until everybody joins, let's start with that. I think the most interesting piece of news recently was the crackdown on BUSD. You heard about it, Gus?
Yeah, this was quite interesting. Both like it was to do with like both Binance kind of and Paxos, is that correct?
Yeah, so Paxos is actually the company that created and operates the stable coin that is known as BUSD for Binance.
Yeah.
Paxos also operates another coin, stable coin of their own, and also they are known for their kind of gold-backed assets, right? So they are doing quite a lot of things. And the kind of process was that the SEC, which is the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, they sent them a letter saying that they're going to sue them in a month or so, or at least they have 1 month to react, because somehow they said that BUSD is a security. I don't know how they came up with that idea, but that's the case that they're trying to make, and they basically required them to first of all stop minting. So right now the BUSD minting is stopped completely.
Yeah.
So I found it really kind of interesting and strange because first of all, uh, like yeah, like they will try to make a case that it's a security, but also it's kind of like they have converted BUSD to a capped emission asset.
Yeah.
Sort of yeah, it's so weird. And Paxos is also first of all it's located in the United States, like in terms of the jurisdiction, and also they're regulated. They're like uh, official company, so it's kind of strange that that this happened. And then I think most of the, like, in addition to specific impacts on BUSD and Binance ecosystem, the most speculations were about what's going to happen next. Is it about the stable coins? Are they going after Tether next? Or is it about Binance? And are they going after Binance? So there is a lot of kind of uncertainty here going on with like what does it mean for the entire industry?
Yeah. And definitely like one of the bigger things that we've seen from like a regulatory standpoint, going after like the stable coin that the biggest exchanges is using. Because I think like more recently Binance switched from like Tether pairs or USDC pairs to make them all like BUSD, is that right? I think they did that.
Yes, that's what they did previously, but now my understanding is that they're going backwards in this regard. They're going to
Okay.
add more, yeah, more stable coins because obviously
Yeah.
BUSD is having problems right now. And it will be interesting to see where this goes next. So first of all, one important note here, in my opinion, is that the regulation makes a big difference between backed stable coins like BUSD, Tether, and Circle like USDC, and collateralized stables like DAI, for example,
Okay.
in terms of regulation. And indeed, these are kind of one of the opinions that I heard is that these assets serve kind of completely different markets in terms of their core user base, right? So the BUSD, USDT, and USDC are more like digital dollars in a way. While if you're holding DAI, you're actually holding Ethereum collateral, which is not the same thing. So they're going first after these assets that are backed by real dollars. And for now, the collateralized stable coins are kind of in a different category, which is, in my opinion, interesting and important.
Yeah.
And also this securities point is really you know weird, right? Like how do we make that a stable coin that cannot go up in value or down in value or whatever, and is actually pegged to US dollar can be seen as a security? I don't understand. Uh,
I saw something, I saw someone posting about this, or a couple of people posting about this, and it made it a little bit more, made it make a little bit more sense to me. And it was saying that, like, often in crypto, when someone's talking about a security, they talk about like the Howey test, and if it passes that, it's a security. But that is just kind of one of the types of security or whatever. And they were saying that other ones, it kind of could be argued that it's that. And the one that they mentioned was something like a money market fund or something like this. And so it didn't have to be like the actual holder of the, in this case, BUSD, that is seen to be profiting, but the company that's like issuing it and using it itself that can be profiting. So for that
mm.
reason, it could also be a security or something like this. Anyway, I'm definitely uh, I'm definitely not well versed on like the American SEC, and so definitely not legal advice. But I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, so neither of us, are experts in this specific area, but we will see how it goes. And it also depends on whether Paxos is actually, going to try to prove their case in court, or they're going to settle, what Binance will do. But in any case, other stables are, kind of tr at least hinting that they will fight this. So we will see how it works out.
Yeah,
There was a kind of similar approach to proof of stake coins, because this is like something that I can understand much better in terms of this being a security, like you're staking your coins and making passive income and profit from just being a validator or like by proxy in a chain.
yeah.
And if this thing goes like gets bigger in terms of regulation, then it will also affect Ethereum probably. So this is going to be huge.
Yeah, and
Uh,
speaking of that, I think like Kraken settled with the SEC and closed down all their staking operations for US customers last week or
uh,
so.
Yeah, and Binance also said that they're prepared like to settle on some of these kind of cases. But there are 2 points here. Like the first one is in terms of the users, obviously, but the second one is also that uh, as of today, at least in Ethereum case and probably other blockchains that are proof of stake, a few of these organizations are actually controlling a huge amount of stake relatively in terms of like validating. Power. So
Yeah,
it can also affect the like in general the security of those chains. So it's kind of it seems to me like that the government is saying, listen, crypto should be decentralized. We don't want crypto to be centralized or too centralized. Let's but kind of you got too big on this whole centralization thing. Let's move you back to your roots.
yeah,
Coins, the government says coins should be proof of work. They should be completely decentralized, no centralized exchanges. Yeah, so that's kind of very interesting because it moves it moves the crypto movement back to its roots, which is great.
mm,
Yeah, so that's the way I see it.
yeah.
Uh, it's going to be exciting, but also a little bit scary in terms of investment climate and what people are willing to buy these days. Because I'm thinking if you're getting out of centralized stables, like what do you buy? Probably Bitcoin, right? Like what else is there?
True. And like this has been interesting in the last few days, or I haven't been paying close attention, but Bitcoin seems to have done pretty well yesterday and over the last 24 hours, which is nice to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, that's probably one of the reasons. Okay, so let's talk about Beam. Now we have quite a lot of interesting updates to share. So first of all, the Beam DEX testing is going really well. There was a lot of great input from the participants in the closed kind of testing beta version that we have deployed on .NET, and we did a lot of improvements over the last few days, and I hope tomorrow we will release it for kind of general availability App Store on .NET. And yeah, in terms of functionality and the features, like and all of the major stuff, we are very, very close to being ready to release on mainnet. So that probably will help as soon as possible as well once we finish all of these small fixes. The input from the community was really valuable, and thank you very much for everyone who participated in the testing. There are two things that I want to mention here. First of all, like if some things or like some additions or improvements are not going to be in the first version once we launch, they will definitely be added later. So we couldn't or didn't want necessarily to fit all of the ideas and suggestions that were proposed into the first version. So it's not like the final one, it's just the beginning. The second one, and this is something that I think is very important. We kind of got to it a little bit too late, but I think we will not necessarily have it at launch, but we will definitely try to add it as quickly as possible, is the integration with Hummingbot for market making purposes.
Nice.
Yeah, for those who are not familiar, Hummingbot is an open source software that is used for all kinds of different purposes, mainly for market making, and it supports a wide variety of both centralized and decentralized exchanges. And if you want to be able to trade, like not just manually, but using some automated tool, Hummingbot is a great kind of tool to do that. Very easy to configure. You can run it on your own machine. You don't need any special kind of setup for that, and you can configure your own strategy of whether you want to buy or sell or do market making or like hunt for specific prices. Very nice tool. And in order, today it supports obviously the Ethereum ecosystem. It also supports Solana, and it means that it can be extended. Like we can create an adapter to support Beam as well. We have everything we need in terms of the APIs on our side. What we need is just to add the adapter for Hummingbot, and then anyone will be able to do trading, not just manually through the UI, but also through bots.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the first thing. The second one is the Beam Asset Minter that is also right now available for testing on .NET. It's also ready. Can be improved. There are a lot of suggestions for improvements, but it does its kind of basic function of allowing anyone to create an asset with a limited capped supply validated through the smart contract and not just minted by a wallet. And it's also ready and also will be released fairly quickly. The bridges are already operational on mainnet. We are doing some documentation updates, and the instructions for anyone who wants to run their own bridge are also on the way. So this is something that we already launched. And yes, all of these will be followed by marketing efforts, I think, during the next couple of weeks. What else? Okay, so one important thing that we are now trying to catch up on is the Blockchain Explorer. The Blockchain Explorer fell behind in terms of the feature set that is needed to represent the situation with the contracts on chain, and it's very important for several reasons. First of all, in order to understand like what's going on in the blockchain, which contracts are used, what is the amount of locked tokens in all kinds of applications that we have. So this is something that Vladi is now working on after he has finished most of the work for the hardware wallet. support. Hardware wallet support will be released in the next desktop version. I don't know exactly when it will be, but probably also within a week or two.
Nice.
And the last important update is regarding the web wallet. So the web wallet, um, what happened there is that Google has updated their APIs for Chrome, and they changed quite a lot of things that we were using in the web wallet, because like the entire mechanism of how the extension is communicating with other pages was completely changed. So we had to rewrite this mechanism, and now we have a version that is working with the new API. So we will finalize it fairly quickly. It's almost ready, and they will submit it to the Chrome Web Store, so you will be able to update it.
And I have a question on this, and this comes from what you showed me just before the space. How will the web wallet work with like applications and this kind of thing? Or rather, will it work with applications like the Asset Mentor and this kind of thing?
Yes, so it will absolutely work with applications, and uh, there is a slight kind of difference here between two types of applications that we have. There are applications that are served from kind of the Beam server. In terms of the technology, an application is just a web page that uses standard web technology instruments to be developed and operated. And inside Desktop Wallet, we present it using this kind of web control. And this allows us to take the exact same application and then just host it on the server, and you can access it from your browser. And once you are in your browser and you have the Beam Web Wallet installed, the application will connect to the wallet and allow you to use the application using the web wallet directly. So there are two kind of two things that are a little bit complicated. So the first one, what about the applications that are served through our decentralized application store? Because in the decentralized app store, what is happening is that the application is actually located on the IPFS.
Okay, yeah.
And it is downloaded and used directly from your desktop wallet, which is a great idea for privacy-oriented distribution of applications, and it's like very kind of very convenient mechanism, but it makes it more difficult to host it directly from a browser. I believe there are technological ways to do that, but it's not supported at the moment, and we will need to do some research on how we can make it happen. So at least in the first version, like initially, only the applications in the official kind of Beam store will be supported through Web Wallet. The second point is what was I about to say? Like there was another concern. So here's the thing. In some cases, there is a conflict between kind of privacy considerations and the convenience of operation of different features, as we know. And in Web Wallet, if the page cannot determine that the Web Wallet is installed, like at all, which is the best thing for privacy, like you can't even know that somebody has been Web Wallet installed, but it makes it much more difficult for the page to connect to Wallet, right? When you are going to let's say a standard Ethereum web application, even though it's centralized, like it shows you the connect wallet button. And then when you click on it, what happens is that the page accesses the web wallet, the MetaMask wallet directly and connects to it, right? So if you don't know that the wallet is installed, you cannot do that. So this is something that I think we will change. Like it will be possible for a specific page to see whether the wallet is installed, because in terms of connecting the application, it's kind of essential feature. Like otherwise, it makes it very, very weird, right? So like if you want to create more engagement and you bring traffic to your page, and your page is a Beam decentralized application, and then you need to do a lot of steps in order to just connect to it. It makes it much more difficult to engage with your audience. And this is something that was mentioned quite a lot, by people who are developing uh, all kinds of applications that connect with Beam Web Wallet. So I think this is something that we will change.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that we need to discuss and talk about is the permissions that applications get inside the desktop world. Because today, what happens is that it's very difficult to do any kind of operation that requires, the information that resides in the wallet inside the application. For example, when you go to the DEX and you just want to know, for example, uh, which pools you are a liquidity provider in, which is a fairly basic request, it cannot be done directly by exploring your holdings in the wallet in terms of like which liquidity LP tokens you're holding, because obviously the application does not have access to your wallet data for a good reason, right? For the reason of privacy.
Yeah.
So we might think about all kinds of different mechanisms, something that allows the user to give explicit permissions to certain applications to see certain tokens or something like that in order to make this more convenient. Because today you're going into the DApp and you just see withdraw liquidity button on every pool. And then you need to know, or you need to check your kind of wallet balance to see which of these tokens you're holding. And they're all look very similar. They only differentiate by the ID of the asset. So it's a little bit cumbersome and difficult process in terms of usability to understand which pools you are a liquidity provider in automatically.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, and it's one of the like big trade-offs, obviously, with like privacy. If you could see everything that the wallet holds or held and this kind of thing, then it's not good at all for privacy. But that comes with like a little bit of nuance into how to make like the user experience optimal.
Yeah, it's always the case with security and privacy features. They're rarely convenient to use.
Yeah.
But the balance here is important. Like I really don't want to get into the situation where the user is encouraged to just give permissions to any application just to see it working. Like you sometimes see on mobile phones, you download some app and then it requires to access this and that, and you're like, yeah, but I want the app, so I will just click OK, and then you forget about it. That's not where we want to go. But on the other hand, sometimes it might be too restrictive. Um, a good example of a feature that we have developed and it's working great, but it's completely, not completely, but it's relatively difficult to use, is atomic swaps. And by the way, here we have some questions from the community about adding Monero to the atomic swaps and Ethereum Classic.
Yeah.
So in the news recently, there was a story about the closing of local Bitcoins. Maybe you saw it.
Ah, yeah. Yes, and I think I got an email from them and saw it a little bit online. Yeah.
So this was one of the longest operating, I think over 10 years, kind of privacy-oriented marketplacing for swapping Bitcoin and other currencies. And obviously it was a little bit less convenient than just going to a centralized exchange in terms of trading, but it did provide privacy initially, and then they were required to add KYC and add all kinds of additional tracing mechanisms for the users and check every transaction with the elliptic, I think it was. So it became both non-private and not, less usable than an exchange. So it kind of was going down in the user base, and eventually it closed. So the atomic swaps that Beam provides are actually for now they're only supporting their atomic swap between Beam and some other currencies, but they are a completely decentralized alternative if you just want to exchange these coins directly using our atomic swap marketplace. But Um, because we have required a maximum amount of confirmations, let's say on Bitcoin, it's like 6 confirmations, like in terms of, so you can be sure that there will be no rollback and stuff like that. So the atomic swap took a long time, right? It takes about over an hour to complete on
Yeah.
average. And it's very difficult like to use, right? So we could have done what some other services did, is just reduce the amount of confirmation to basically one. I saw examples, and then it will be much faster, but then you kind of give less reliability, right? So what happens if there is a rollback? Even though on Bitcoin it's very unlikely to happen, but still. So this is exactly the trade-offs that we have faced when developing this feature. So in terms of the technological, like for ETC, it's not a problem technologically. It can be done. For Monero, I'm not sure. I need to check whether they support all of the uh, infrastructure, because the Bitcoin after like some forks, they supported all the mechanisms that we need to implement atomic swaps with Bitcoin. I just need, because Monero is a fork of Bitcoin. I don't know if they updated like to the latest version. I'm not like following this topic, but it can be possible to implement atomic swap with Monero as well. The problem is that we also need to think about how to make it more usable and
Yeah.
more people to use it. Yeah, like I believe that at least some of the people that were using services like local Bitcoins could switch to our implementation. And also one of the things that are possible in terms of like technological, aspects, but we need to kind of figure out what's the best way to approach this, is to have direct swaps between, let's say, I don't know, like Bitcoin and Litecoin, like not just going through Beam.
Okay. Yeah.
That's also a possibility that we have once discussed, but we didn't implement back in the day. It's possible that we just need to see like how we can address this in terms of like time and effort and usability.
Makes sense. A question on this, like for the atomic swap, something that's come up a few times has been like the liquidity and difficult to like find orders to take. Would the one you mentioned earlier in the
The
space,
humming,
Hummingbot, yeah, would this be able to be used with the atomic swaps as well, do you think, or
um,
potentially?
uh, I'm not sure it will
Actually,
work. Yeah.
disregard that because there already is, if I understand correct, VS Nation, I think, created like a market making bot for the atomic swaps that I think is open source.
Yeah, there are some tools available today, but like I don't, I didn't review them personally, so I'm not exactly sure, but I will check
No
that and I
problem.
will get back to you. Um, but in any case, I think there needs to be at least some improvements done on the, kind of usability of this feature before it can be uh, really used by by real users and not just for like people who are willing to wait for an hour for the swoop to complete.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so let's check about Monero, and we will definitely need to have some kind of additional thoughts about how to make this more usable in order to continue supporting the swaps and expanding them. I think an ideal direction, if we could afford it in terms of time and effort investments, it would be to do something similar to what REN protocol did. I mentioned it a couple of times, which is having a kind of this. So REN did it for bridges, but like have some more kind of decentralized solution for operating like transfers of assets between chains, and like make this a little more sophisticated, like not just swaps, but also like for bridging solutions. But that will take more time.
Yeah.
That's a something that I think can be really useful, for moving assets around between different chains. Okay, so what else we have here in the questions uh, that were asked by the community? Let's see. Mhm. So there are some questions about marketing. Uh, there are some questions about exchanges. All of them were forwarded like to Amir basically. I don't think we should discuss it here. Like there are no actual news on that front for now. Like not the marketing, but the exchanges part at least.
Yeah, with exchanges, we can't really like comment much on exchanges anyway in general. Like efforts will be made, and if anyone mentions an exchange that they want us to contact, we'll reach out to them and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was a question in the chat in the main Beam channel on Telegram, and it's from Unseen Shadow Cane, and they're talking about like a in between wallet between like in between the user wallet and the dApp, having like an account in the dApp so that it can see your balances. And I want to ask if this is possible, and would it like solve the issue we mentioned before, or would it just move the same issue to the other side, like create an extra step?
Um, can you explain this a little bit? I'm a little bit.
I th I think what they mean is like say you have a say you're like working with the DEX or stablecoin and you have your wallet, then on the DEX side you have like a almost like at least my interpretation of the question, it would be like a centralized exchange where you kind of deposit it into your uh, like
Ah,
wallet balance on the exchange, and then the DEX can see what your balances are and this kind of thing.
oh yeah. Now I understand the question. Yeah. So well, maybe the problem is that it will also expose your holdings to everyone and not just your DApp. So it would be simpler and more correct to just allow the DApp to access your balances, either for all tokens or for specific tokens. And it will be better to do it this way than just send your LP tokens to a contract and then use that in order to understand how much you have. But yes, it would solve the problem. I'm not sure it's the best way, but it is possible. I think what we're going to do is we're going to make a proposal that we're going to discuss of just giving a specific application kind of partial permissions to see either like specific set of your tokens and their balances, or just all of them. Like because when you're going into the DEX, and obviously there are a lot of pools there, so it makes very easy for you to just like kind of select where you want to trade based on your holdings. And it makes sense to give the DEX access to all of your balances for a specific kind of session or period of time. Uh, yeah, so we just want to be careful with that because after all, it's a privacy software, so we don't want to be too trigger happy with all these permissions. Once I think that Unseen Shadow King is typing something, but once he does, I want to address another question, which is also a little bit related. Uh, that was like, can the wallet be modified to allow to receive transactions before logging into wallet? And the answer is no, unfortunately, or like by design, because when you log in into your wallet and you type your password, it actually decrypts the database that is stored inside, right? So this is the password that is used to encrypt your kind of database of the wallet that holds all the relevant information in order to sign transactions. And since like definitely Mimblewimble transactions, which are interactive, require your wallet signature, whether you're a sender or a receiver, it's not really possible to receive transactions without logging into wallet. However, we do have offline transactions, which you will receive even if you don't use your wallet or are not online. So if somebody suspects that you can be offline and still wants to make sure they send funds to you, they can just use the offline transactions for that. So I think it kind of solves this issue. Now, if you do have an automated rig, like I think this person asking the question is having, and you think this machine is well protected in terms of outside access, what you can do is you can add the password to the wallet into the command line parameters. It can be done on both command line and the desktop wallet. You can just put it into the configuration directly, and then the wallet will automatically log in without requiring to type a password. So that's also solvable. But once
Nice.
again, the password is in the config file, and this machine should be well protected so you don't expose it in any way.
Absolutely. And like if it's for I think this question comes up a little bit from miners in general, also regarding like their pool payouts. I would like be talking to the pool and getting them to add support for the offline addresses, because it would be beneficial for the pools themselves as well, because then they would have less issues and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a good, very good mechanism, which is much more convenient in certain cases than Nimble. But yeah. So there is another question that was asked here. One second, let me find it again. So there was a question about the DEX customer support.
I saw this, and I also just went on Sushi Swap and tried to find the Sushi Swap, which was one that was mentioned, has a
Yeah,
customer support, but I couldn't find anything.
yeah. What
Maybe
they,
I'm,
like,
but anyway,
yeah, Beam does have a support channel on Telegram,
yeah,
which is monitored both by us and by the Beam team and the community, and most of the questions get answered fairly quickly. But yeah, like it's important to get to know the application that you're using before actually committing a lot of funds to it. So yeah, if you're starting to use any feature in Beam, definitely ones that are new, such as bridges or the DEX once it's released, please, spend a few minutes to play with it, just so it doesn't confuse you. Because yeah, these features tend to get complicated and sometimes can be confusing. And if you are not sure, like you can always do this on .NET, which I highly recommend to download and have on your machine, just to play with the newest versions of Vim applications. It's always a nice experience. And also, if you notice anything, that you don't like or want to improve, this is also the great kind of testing ground for us to get input from you, and we do look, forward for having all of those inputs, as many as possible. It really helps, really, really helps. The testing of the decks was really amazing.
yeah, like so many good feedbacks and this kind of stuff for the decks and other applications. I mentioned a bit in the newsletter last week that one of the guys or girls was playing around with the decks and was using the asset minter to spin up assets and create liquidity pools and this kind of stuff. And for anyone that is like learns by doing, then playing around on the DAppNet with the applications and this kind of stuff is the way to go.
Absolutely. I think it's a great kind of testing ground for all kinds of features that we developing, and most of the applications there are updated quite regularly. Um, Let me see if there are any more questions that we would like to talk about today. And obviously, you can always ask more questions. Beam Web Wallet for Firefox. I think Firefox should support Chrome-based extensions, but I need to check in terms of these communication mechanisms whether it's working. I will get back to you on that. Nifrit recently published a post saying they're on track with their development, which is also great. And there will be a vote about that in the coming month, I hope. What else we have here? Mhm. Regarding the improvements in the NFT gallery, yeah, we need to organize all of the feature requests there and try to invest some time in updating the gallery. It was not touched for a long time. What else? What else? Yeah, I think that covers most of the questions that we had, uh, written down here, right? Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah. I just saw a great question in the Beam community price chat from Arav, and it is when Trinance. I thought that was good.
It's a good one. Yeah. I heard Trinance is the next best thing after Binance. Um, okay, so what else do we want to talk about after we have covered, I think, quite a few updates and quite a few questions?
I have a question. After, like, from my understanding and like from the information that was shared in the space, a lot of the applications that were kind of scheduled in for late last year are coming to fruition. What sounds like this month, pretty much. Uh, the DEX, the bridge is already on mainnet, the asset minter. Uh, and one question that I think is a good one is what or where will the focus shift after these applications have gone live, both in terms of development and in terms of like BeamX and the DAO itself?
Yeah, so there are two, or like at least kind of two major directions, I would say, that we need to pursue almost simultaneously in the coming months. So first of all, um, regarding the DAO, right? So we need to um, organize all of the kind of DAO-related activities, starting with voting, obviously, because as you know, all of the applications that are developed by Beam are working with the BeamX DAO Vault, and they're contributing to the DAO Vault. So there are profits accumulated there, and the BMX holders, need to participate in that. So there are kind of additional mechanisms that we need to deploy in order to make the regular votes happen. Right now, we have support for kind of specific special votes in the voting application, but it needs to be extended to also work on that. And in general, and it was discussed quite a few times, like we had a lot of very good comments about that from the community. We need to kind of organize the case for BeamX, right? So everybody understands like what exactly BeamX is and how it operates and what it gives you, like why you should hold it, and what is the value and what is the value proposition of it. So this should be the focus, right? So we did a lot of things in terms of tech development, but it's essential that we kind of organize the operational part of it, like how the DAO really works, like what's the process. So we did have a lot of ideas, proposals that we published, discussed. Some of them are working, some of them are kind of on hold, and we just need to make sure all of this is clear and organized. So this is the first very important thing that we need to do. The second one, and I'm not talking right now about like EVM support and things that are happening, but once again they're more kind of on the technological side. I think the second thing is to uh, organize the ecosystem better, right? So we have quite a lot of applications and tools, especially now that we complete the bulk of the DeFi apps that we have been talking about for a long time and developing for a long time. And now we need to organize all of the ways to engage with those applications. It means maybe updating the website, maybe adding links to our dApp store and using the web wallet, making them easier to engage. We have a separate effort going to allow MetaMask to connect to Beam ecosystem. It's still work in progress, but like I hope it will be possible to do so. And then once again, like in certain limited cases, like not for all types of transactions, but in order to engage with at least some of the applications, you will be able to use MetaMask and connect with Beam Network. That also be very nice.
Nice.
And I think it also will help the marketing efforts because it's one thing when you read about something, get excited, and then you understand that you will need to download a few pieces of software and wait for a few hours for the blockchain to synchronize and this and that. Or you just click and you get into this new world that you would like to explore. So we need to work on this part. Um, Now with the applications and with the kind of additional mechanisms that we have, it's easier than before, right? Before you had to go the kind of the whole road of downloading the wallet and getting Beam. But now we have more tools to do that than ever, and I think that's where we should focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, so these two things are essential. And once again, like in terms of help from the community, I think it's very important, like to continue bringing up those ideas, asking those questions, and participating because it really helps. It really focuses us. Like we have a much better understanding of what's working, what's not, what's working better. So yeah, that's been great, and I hope it will continue.
Absolutely.
We had some suggestions in terms of participating in YouTube channel, right? So there was this.
Yeah. Someone mentioned Lex Friedman specifically, right? Which is cool.
Yeah, so obviously we can push. We just can contact directly. But if you have any inways or like you can do any introductions, that's always welcome. There is a question about Beam Anonymous Messenger. So it's part of the upcoming desktop wallet release. That will be a feature in it. We have a problem now because we have Beam Asset Minter and Beam Anonymous Messenger, which are both of them are have the same acronym. We need to rename one of them.
Because the Beam Asset Mentor. Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, Unseen Shadow King said he didn't. Twitter didn't like hearing about anonymous messages.
Yeah.
We have a request from Jodorowsky.
I cannot see it. Can
No?
you?
Okay.
No.
I thought there was. Okay. Cam. So we were actually, very nearly finished anyway, even though we got rudely interrupted by Twitter software. Yeah.
Now I see the request. Sorry.
Okay. I thought I saw it before.
Yeah, sorry, no, I didn't have requests. I just I'm just joining in.
That's good.
It's good.
That's fine. Okay. What else do we have to discuss here today? Or we can just, wrap it up a few minutes early. And yeah, continue to do what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Oh, Sam is good. Sam is a good suggestion. There is a suggestion to call it Sam.
Sam is good. That's a good
Yeah.
name.
Are you guys planning? Like, I know you guys are planning to implement EVM onto Beam,
Yeah.
but are you guys planning to maybe making some sort of a DApp to kind of work both ways, to have one on, like, let's say Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, and also kind of like a two-way, like two apps on two different chains to kind of tie something in a function. You know, let's say
So
like a privacy function or something. Like I know you guys got the Bridges app, but
yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's a little bit kind of complicated to have this like add-on privacy like for existing chains like Ethereum Classic, for example. But in terms of like, let's separate it into two parts. So first of all, in terms of what you can do on Beam once we have the EVM, yes, you can create contracts for either virtual machine and they can run concurrently. But in terms of providing privacy for other chains, like yeah, bridging is obviously one way, right? You move assets and then you're in a new place. But other than that, it can be only sort of like layer two solutions, basically something that runs above, right, on top of both, let's say, Beam and some other chain. So it's kind of not exactly bridging because you can still keep assets on the original chain. You don't need to move them, but you can do all kinds of transactions, going through like both chains. That's possible. It's sort of how rollups operate in some way, even though they mostly use a single chain. But it's a little bit far from us right now, right? So we still need to figure out quite a few things before we can attack those topics. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, listen, it's been a good one. Thank you very much for joining. Um, you know, we'll continue obviously next week as usual, and yeah, keep up the good work. And please check out the .NET on all the applications that are going live soon. Still require more testing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, keep up the good work. Like, want to say again, a massive thanks to all the community that have jumped in the Dex chat for testing out and providing feedback in this. Massively beneficial.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Have a great evening or day, and stay safe. And we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.